Yes. Reason he doesn't speak is good for the ordinary person because he's accustomed to speaking Gramya Kata. Gramya Kata means about ordinary family or neighborhood news, business, things like that, which may not be essential. And so when a person like that takes it out not to speak, that's good because he won't speak nonsense. But a devotee has so much to say that it's of value because he knows about Krishna. He knows about the absolute truth. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the perfect example of a sannyasi, he traveled all over South India mostly for years, walking barefoot and living very simply. His policy was when he met ordinary people, he would engage them in chanting Hare Krishna, Kirtan. And when he met very philosophical people, people who were very interested in understanding the philosophy of life, of Krishna, then he would speak to them about those philosophical topics, such as Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. And we would meet very exalted, super advanced devotees of the highest category, such as Rama. And he would speak about the intimate pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan, or with his gopi friends, the cowherd damsels, like that. That was not to be spoken in general, because people generally can't understand such pastimes of the Lord. They become confused. They think them to be like other material pastimes of people in general. And that's a big mistake, so better they don't try to speak on such topics, or even try to hear on such topics, because the qualifications are there. Just like, to give a small example, if someone wants to understand the science of law, then he has to learn from the beginning what are the basic laws, what are the principles. And then later he can learn all the more intricate aspects of the law, what are the conditions. Similarly, one has to learn the science of the self, or the science of Krishna consciousness, from the beginning with understanding the difference between matter and spirit, and then how everything is manifest, and then he learns about the science of devotion. So all these things are taken one by one, and by going through them systematically, hearing and chanting, then he becomes advanced, and then he'll gain a taste and the ability to hear about Krishna's more intimate pastimes. That should be reserved for the more advanced stages. So in this verse, also it says, Aniketa, without lodging. this is very difficult to do in this age. It is possible, but generally, like for example, Srila Prabhupada as a sannyasi, an ideal sannyasi, in our own experience, he did wear shoes sometimes. In fact, mostly he did wear shoes when he was traveling, whereas Lord Chaitanya didn't wear shoes, and he didn't ride on carts and things like that, horses. He just walked. So, does that mean that a sannyasi nowadays has to just walk? No. He may even take airplanes, jet airplanes, but his reason for traveling is the same. The reason for traveling is that he gives up the quest for sense gratification. And he educates the public in spiritual life. Wherever he goes, he may go to, for example, he may go to Australia, very far distance away. But he goes there, and by his presence, he plants the seeds of bhakti. And by planting the seeds of bhakti, then he teaches them students, how to go on watering the plant. Bhakti Lata Beach. And he teaches them by hearing and chanting how to water the plant, and then gradually it grows and grows. And then finally it goes all the way up to the spiritual world, Goloka Vrindavan. By traveling, he has the opportunity to meet so many people. And that's really his mercy, because Brahmande Brahmite Kono Bhagyavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasade Vai Bhakti Lata Beach. If one is fortunate enough to come in contact with a pure devotee of the Lord, then his life becomes so fortunate that just by hearing and taking instructions from that devotee, the ordinary person can rise to the highest platform. This is being proven by Srila Prabhupada in his presence. But even now, after his apparent departure, he's still guiding this group of devotees that's growing every day. Every day more books are distributed, more chanting is done, more prasadam is served out. That means that everyone is getting spiritual advancement. And whether they like it or not, whether they plan on it or not, they'll be making progress. We were hearing about this the other day, how the devotees, Indraduna Maharaj was saying that he met someone and the person had, in the earlier days when he knew them, they were not vegetarian. And then the person became vegetarian over 20 or 30 years. And the person attributed that to the devotees who at that time were vegetarians 30 years ago. And they were speaking about, just as a kind of a concomitant point, that it's favorable to become vegetarian for making spiritual advancement. And so many people now have become vegetarians of different sorts. And that's beneficial for them. So that's how the devotees are having a great influence on the world. Because a devotee, regardless of his learning capacity or how wealthy he is or good looking or whatever his status is or his occupation, it doesn't matter. If he's practicing devotional service, he'll be getting the benefits, and those who associate with him will also get the same benefit. It's kind of like the example of there was a woman in America, and she had typhoid. Typhoid's a very communicable disease, and somehow or other typhoid spread all over the place. It's like we had recently, a few years ago, we had a big virus going all over the world, epidemic. So this typhoid was going all over, and they were trying to trace it back how did it get in? How did it get everywhere? They found that there was one lady who was a waitress at a restaurant somewhere in America. And she had typhoid, but she was it wasn't obvious, the symptoms on her. In fact, you couldn't tell. But anyone who came in contact with her came down with all the symptoms of typhoid. Typhoid Mary, they called her. So that's what can happen. Prabhupada was like Typhoid Mary on the transcendental side, because he brought Krishna to everywhere. And anyone who came in touch with him started showing all the symptoms of devotional service. That's a wonderful thing to think about. And we can also be little Typhoid Marys and give out Krishna consciousness by always preaching. Lord Chaitanya said, Jaritaha Krishna Upadesh, Amara Gai Guru Hanatari Desh. Wherever you go, whomever you meet, simply tell them about Krishna. So that's the perfection. And that's an order from Lord Chaitanya. Even if we don't think we have much to say, we have quite a bit to say. To start talking sometimes and tell them what you know. Even if it seems like you're starting off, well, I don't know much, but I know that there's a difference between matter and spirit. I know that every living being has a soul. They are the soul. And the body is not. So he goes on. And once he gets going, or she gets going, then she'll find out that they have tons to speak about. So don't be shy. Talk. Tell them about Krishna. But don't tell them about speculation. Don't make something up just to fill in the gaps. Otherwise, you can read to them from the books, and they'll make spiritual advancement that way. Thank you.